Thank you again for watching Artifact Alley. I am Kristi Dunn. I'm the registrar here at the History Museum. I don't know if you remember last time. If you don't remember it because you didn't watch it, you should watch the last episode. I talked about a V&A dress, and I sort of gave a teaser of what we were going to start with this time. So that's what I have in this box. Now, the reason why this is so important to the collection is because Madeleine V&A was one of the first real female fashion designers, one of the first to become famous. Her and Coco Chanel really sort of made it possible and popular for women to have clothes that weren't just stiff and, you know, kind of shapeless. They made clothes that moved with the body and, you know, let you go ahead and go out dancing and everything. So I want to tell you a little bit about her because she's one of my favorite designers, actually. She was born in 1876 in France, and she ended up going to London to study fashion design, which at the time was a man's job. It was a very masculine world. And she studied and then went back to Paris to open up her fashion studio, V&A, in 1912. Now, unfortunately, she had to close in 1914 because of the start of World War I. But after the war, she reopened her house, making her one of the only people to grow a popular fashion house and name in between the two world wars, especially in Europe. And she was known among many circles of people and had a lot of nicknames. She was known as the architect of dresses. She was also called the queen of the bias cut. Now, for those of you who don't know, the bias cut really changed fashion and the way women wore dresses. It was a method, it is still a method, of cutting against the grain diagonally on a dress so that it adheres to the body and form fits a little better, but it also still drapes and elongates, and as you're moving, it swings. It became very popular in the 1920s. That is one of the reasons for many of the styles and designs of the flapper era. And I know many of you might be thinking, well, but you said she created dresses to fit the female form and that weren't as stiff, but the 20s are known for these straight dresses and not being very shapely. Both of those are true. If you think about a 1920s flapper dress, think about how it fits straight, but no matter your shape, once you start moving, it adheres to the curves. It creates curves where you might not have some, and it really starts flowing with you and swinging. So in that regard, it can both be, you know, straight and just hanging there, but also really hug the body and allow for freedom of movement, which, you know, really was kind of a new thing for women in fashion. Now, she was also very well known for what's called a horse dress, or I've heard some people refer to it as a horse head dress, which gives me, you know, kind of thoughts of The Godfather. Has nothing to do with that. So what we have in our collection, it was donated by Mrs. Helen Merrill, and it is one of the 1920s V&A horse dresses. This was one of, if not her most popular design. And many of you may have actually seen it on display. About 6 years ago, I think it was, we had it on a mannequin in Capsha Home, our Oliver Mansion. And that was for our exhibit, Clothing Capsha Home. And we also had it out, I think it was about 3 years ago, maybe 4, in our exhibit Cabinet of Curiosities. If you remember it at that point, you may remember that we had it on display in a box. And this addresses sort of an issue that we have with having 1920s dresses or heavily beaded dresses. And I'll get to that in a second. So this is the dress. You can see the horse design on that. And there is a red slip that goes with it. See how that moves? You know, the beadwork is pretty substantial. Beads and sequins are pretty heavy. And so over time, what happens is it starts to tear away. And there's really no way to prevent it from happening unless you just, you know, don't wear the dress, don't ever hang it up. Which at that point, you know, why have the dress if you're never going to enjoy it? So we have noticed that happening just a little bit on this dress. And with noticing it, we decided that we really couldn't put it on a mannequin anymore until any conservation practices take place, because we don't want to risk damaging it further. We want to always be able to show all of the beautiful beadwork and to show how it moves and everything. So, you know, we still get to look at it. And the thing with conservation with a dress like this is that can sometimes be difficult, because you can't just patch up a spot where the weight has started pulling it away. Oftentimes you have to create whole new sections, and then you get into the debate over whether it's the original dress or not. You know, how much can you actually replace on a dress? How much can you repair before it is not the original thing? So lucky for us, we did notice, you know, some of the pulling very early on. So that has kept this in very good, pretty good condition, and has let me be able to show it to you today. So if you have any other questions, of course, I am always open for them. Go ahead, you know, whether it's about our clothing collection or Madame V&A or anything with that. My email address is kdunn, K-D-U-N-N, @historymuseumsb.org. And you can also find me on the website. You can also just call and ask someone to send you to me. So with that, we are going to go to a completely different topic. And believe me, we'll touch on the clothes again later. Now, you may have noticed that I'm in a different location than I usually am. Usually, I take you into the storage building of the History Museum. But today, we're in an area that is very near and dear to my heart. It is on our lower level and is our All-American Girls Professional Baseball League gallery. Most of you probably know, some of you might not, that the History Museum is the national repository for the AAGPBL, which means we collect all items related to the league and have become the nationally recognized location for research and archives 2D and 3D items for the league. And it's really become a passion of ours. So I geek out a little bit about it. If you've ever talked to me about it, I already ramble. Imagine me rambling even more, and you got it. So this gallery has an extra special meaning this year. As you notice, I'm standing in front of a case. We just changed out the exhibit on February 8th, I believe it opened. And this case is honoring South Bend Blue Sox player Betsy Jochum. She just had her 100th birthday on February 8th. And we were able to go and wish her happy birthday and do a drive-through and everything. But right now, I want to talk to you about something that is relatable for most people, and that is, you know, movies and pop culture. There is a movie that came out in 1992 called A League of Their Own, and that movie basically tells the story of the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League. It was directed by Penny Marshall, and it has actors such as Lori Petty, Rosie O'Donnell, It has Gina Davis, Madonna, and Tom Hanks. I almost forgot Tom Hanks. I am so sorry, Tom. No, I didn't. He's the one that said the very famous line, "There's no crying in baseball." A League of Their Own also has one of my favorite actresses, Téa Leoni, who, this was only her second movie that she ever did. And, you know, we have a lot of items for the AAGPBL and baseball. The movie is credited by a lot of the players as finally bringing attention to, you know, what they did and the popularity of the league. And we also have items from the movie, and it's really, really neat. One of the items that I want to show you is an autographed script from the movie. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out. This is the final script for A League of Their Own. And it is autographed. This one is autographed by Gina Davis, Tom Hanks, Lori Petty, Penny Marshall, and several other people. And it is the complete script from start to finish. But this is something we actually get a lot of requests to loan this out. We get a lot of requests for AAGPBL items in general. I told you in the last video that we've loaned items out to France, California, nationally and internationally. So it's really neat to be able to loan movie items, league items, and sort of complete this entire narrative of, you know, what these women did and how important women playing baseball and women playing sport actually really was to not only our country, but the world. Just to have that and have people that, you know, me as a little girl, I could look up to them and realize I really can do anything. So we have that. And then we also have some baseballs. So these two baseballs are autographed baseball. This is an official League of Their Own baseball. And we have all of the same signatures and autographs on this. And this ball right here is a ball that is also autographed and was used in the movie. So they used this one as they were shooting the film. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about, because believe it or not, I get a lot of questions about this. The size of the balls the women used while playing. What was used in the movie were 9-inch balls. Now, when they started, they were actually called the All-American Girls Professional Softball League. And so they started with the 12-inch balls. One of these I actually showed you guys in the last video as an item that we've loaned out and autographed by team players. Thankfully, we have balls that are donated and autographed by teams from all over, and it's really neat to see their signatures. Several of these balls from the league, as well as this ball right here, were donated by Lou Arnold, who played for the South Bend Blue Sox from 1948 to 1952. This ball right here is an 11-inch ball. This one was used as well. So we have a lot of the 12-inch balls, and we have 1 or 2 11-inch. Eventually, the league went down to using 9 or 10 inches. 10 was the most popular. So this right here is autographed by the South Bend Blue Sox and is a 10-inch ball, which was used for the last several years of play. So as you can see, there's a difference. Now, softball and baseball actually have several differences, one of them being how you pitch, another one being the size of the balls. And the smaller the ball, the more speed that you can get. And it really does have a different effect when it's hit, directionality. I don't know all of the differences, but it does affect gameplay when you go to a different size ball. Not only are we talking a lot about the AAGPBL this year in honor of Betsy Jochum's 100th birthday, but we also have something really special going on. The History Museum is working with IU South Bend to put a historic marker by what used to be Playland Park. It's in South Bend, Indiana, right across from Martin's Supermarket on Ironwood, right by the St. Joe River. And currently, IU South Bend has student housing. However, the Playland Park bleachers are still there and have been kept as a historic representation of what was there. And that is one of the locations where the South Bend Blue Sox used to play games. So we're having a historic marker put up there to honor all women of the AAGPBL, but especially the South Bend Blue Sox and what that has meant for our city. So I really hope that you follow us for updates, keep up to date with what we're doing this year. Despite COVID and restrictions of which we are very diligently trying to adhere to and keep everyone safe, we are still planning some wonderful things. And of course, I hope that you find the time to come to the museum and see Betsy's display, as well as the rest of the AAGPBL gallery.